But if you leave your name and number, we'll get back to you.
Greetings, I'm Taalik Cox. I had the pleasure of speaking with Taalik, Ibn'rad, and he has a movement / ministry by the name of the Reality Temple on Earth. And I had the pleasure of speaking with him for several hours today, and I think it's only fair that I do a reaction video to the conversation. And the conversation was on various topics, which was basically centered around African quote-unquote consciousness. And he was a real deep brother, very down to earth, very approachable. He didn't carry himself like a know-it-all. Someone you could talk to and really listen to you. It was such an honor to finally meet somebody over the internet that has an ear to listen, and not only an ear to listen, but will take full action on what they stand for. And I appreciated having that conversation with you, and I do look forward to working with you.
Nobody's being delivered from anything. God ain't doing nothing for nobody right now. Then gee, I wonder why. Because these folks are just making noise.
Of our people as a whole. What we want to speak about for just a few minutes, I'm not going to take a lot of your time. The subject that we've chosen for these few minutes is the Nation of Islam worship a mulatto god. Now, see, what brings me to this subject is that there are Nation of Islam members, one of them being very close to us, wink, wink. And for some reason, some of these Nation of Islam members, they really are against what we call interracial relationships. They are really against race mixing. In fact, I was told that the Nation of Islam is against race mixing. And you want to know something? That is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. The Nation of Islam teaches against. There's no doubt The Nation of Islam teaches against interracial relationships and, of course, race mixing. But we got a problem here. We're teaching one thing, but we're doing something else. Even from the very beginning, and nobody's really thinking about it until now. I myself was in the Nation of Islam over 7 years, and I didn't trip off of it, but it's right there in your face. Because many of you who are not familiar with the teachings of Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, they worship a God called Master Farad Muhammad. God came in the person of Allah, in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. Now, the problem here is, many of you don't know, and we was taught this, but we didn't trip off of it, we didn't realize what was going on, is that Wallace Farad Muhammad, let me see if I'm still on air here, because I'm subject to fade out. Brothers and sisters, if I fade out, it's technical difficulties. Just hold on, and we apologize before that happens.
You're still on air.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Wallace Farad Muhammad came to North America, according to the teachings, July 4th, 1930. And he raised among us a leader, teacher, and guide, a divine leader, teacher, guide, the messenger of God, Elijah Muhammad. Not Elijah Muhammad. Wallace Farad Muhammad was said to come from Mecca, Arabia. And his parents, now this is it. His parents, one was a black man, the father, and the mother is a white woman or Caucasian woman. And the reason why God had to come to North America in the form or looking like a white man, because clearly he did not take on his father's traits. He was a very light-skinned person, was so that Wallace Farad or Master Farad Muhammad could come among dark-skinned people, black people, the Negro, so he could teach us, Islam, and bring us back and bring us to God. Now, isn't the union between a white woman and a black man, isn't that interracial? Isn't that race mixing? But now, of course, that the Nation of Islam teaches against race mixing, but clearly the God that they worship, Wallace Farad Muhammad, is the product of race mixing, interracial relationships. Now, they have this reason of why this had to happen, but regardless, you accept a God that is a product of an interracial relationship. That's just the bottom line. Because, see, look, oh, wow. See, this is the thing. It is possible in the DNA makeup of people called black. I don't like using that word black. Soul brothers and sisters. Don't you know in our DNA makeup, it's a possibility we can produce the same white-looking man. I know, and I have seen light-skinned brothers and sisters, some of them and some of us right now are passing for white. Their parents is dark, just like, probably darker than I am. And any of you have ever seen my videos, y'all know that I'm a dark-skinned person. Very, So if you put a black person, a soul sister, and a soul brother together, and you talking about producing God, we can actually, a black man and a black woman can produce a Master Farad Muhammad. But for some reason, they chose a white woman. Explain that to me. Explain it. Because two black people can produce a very light-skinned child all the way to a very dark-skinned child. We know this. But in the teachings of the Nation of Islam, a white woman was chosen to be the mother of God. Ain't that a blip? Then they turn around and tell us that they are against interracial relationship when their God is a product of an interracial relationship. When they skipped over the black woman, and chose a white woman to produce God. Ain't that a something? Woo! I just thought about that. Skipped over the sisters. Now, that's hypocrisy in itself, because how can you be against race mixing when race mixing is what produced your God that you pray to 7 times a day? Now, what makes it even worse, when we bring this to modern times, you have a person who claims to be the third man behind God and the messenger, which the messenger of God made it very clear, there is nobody after him. So there is no third man in line. But you have a person like Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is claiming that he is sitting in the seat of Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad made it very clear, ain't nobody sitting in no seat after me. Once I do my thing, it's over with. But that's neither here nor there. Elijah did not leave somebody to replace him. He wasn't interested, because he said, after me, there is none. He said, after me, there is none. There is no great reminder. There is no future Apostle Paul or none of that stuff. Elijah Muhammad said that after him, over. Now, what you do, that's your business. And if you revive his teachings, he said very clearly, do not change my teachings. But you know, some folks, they put themselves in a chair, and I'm the third man in line, and they decide I'm going to change these teachings. And you have those people who don't know no better. You know, they drinking the Kool-Aid. But that's your business. But like we explained right now, you say that you are against race mixing, but yet instead of the same time, your God is of a interracial couple, and you couldn't even find a black woman, a soul sister that was worthy of producing God. So now we are in modern times, and this brother, he claims to be the third man in line. And of course, y'all are against race mixing. You are against interracial relationships. However, the son, now, the father, let's be fair, the father has nothing to do with the actions of his son. But his son became a crack addict, heroin addict. I forgot what the drug of choice was. But his son became a drug fiend, and he met his white Caucasian wife while he was in rehab. And he fell in love, even though he was under the teachings of Islam ever since he was a child. He still decided to marry another dope fiend that he found in rehab. And matter of fact, this brother, who is the third man in line, y'all know who I'm talking about. Do I have to say his name? But he said it was a wonderful thing. I heard a speech that he said, because crack or heroin or whatever his son, whatever the drug of choice of his son was, he said really that was a wonderful thing, because a drug brought the people together when you in your right state of mind couldn't do it. But a drug can bring white, black, all types of people, because of a drug, brought them all together. But yeah, you know, my thing is, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, but they don't fiend, sir. They don't fiend. It ain't like they came together because out of harmony, because they love God. Yeah, they became dope fiends. They was out of their mind. You know, they was taking drugs for whatever reason. But suffice to say, again, this man has no control over what his son does. His son was living under Islam ever since he was a child. He became a dope fiend, and he married a Caucasian woman And it did not stop there. He went on to have, I think, 2 or 3 children with this white woman. Now, if the Nation of Islam is against interracial relationships, if the Nation of Islam is against race mixing, then why don't this father reject his son, denounce his son, don't have nothing to do with his son? But this father, you will see pictures of this man with his white daughter-in-law smiling, and his biracial children, he's smiling and skinning and grinning. But I thought the Nation of Islam is against race mixing. What would Elijah Muhammad think about this? What would he think about this? Because it's very clear in the teachings, they do not promote race mixing or interracial relationships. Mind you, I want to say this also. This third man in line, this self-proclaimed third man in line, he's also, you see him taking pictures with all kinds of Caucasian people. You know, Eminem, Father Flavor, there's a whole lot of different kinds of Caucasian people. Now, how many pictures of celebrities and white folks did you see Elijah Muhammad with? How many pictures of celebrities and white folks did you see Malcolm X with? So why, during this period of time, is the third man in line, why is he different from Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, and even God himself? Now, mind you, according to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you cannot call a white man, a Caucasian person, your brother until they have studied Islam from 20 to 25. He's calling these Caucasian people his brothers or sisters, and they have not studied Islam 20 to 25 years. Suffice to say again, he brought into Islam, into the teachings, something called Dianetic from a white man. Now, mind you, there's nothing wrong with learning things from the Caucasian people. We do it all the time. But this third man in line, he actually said, I believe out of his mouth, correct me if I'm wrong, he said, I thank Allah for Ron L. Hubbard. That's what he said. Not only do the third man in line believe that the teachings need to be supplemented, that the teachings are not enough, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, do not change my teachings, do not supplement my teachings. He says, I thank God, Master Farad Muhammad, I guess, for Ron L. Hubbard, a known racist. I want these members of the Nation of Islam, y'all, I'm just like, what's his name, Ricky Ricardo was talking to Lucy. Y'all's got a lot of explaining to do. Whole lot of explaining to do. Because you got a God that is a mulatto, and you got a minister who has white friends and has a Caucasian daughter-in-law that clearly he don't have a problem with. And I want to bring this talk to conclusion to show you the hypocrisy of the Nation of Islam in modern times.
Yes, sir.
Brother Guy, and y'all can look this up, it's a debate between Brother Guy Nollywood Jr. and Maurice Muhammad. But Brother Guy submitted to us pictures of Caucasian people dressed as the fruit of Islam, dressed as the MGT. And Maurice Muhammad said, I have no knowledge of this. And he shrugs it off like it's not real. So look, the question to me, or for me, is why would Caucasian people just to be happy-go-lucky, why would they, out of all the clothes they can wear, why all of a sudden they want to wear a FOI uniform, or the white woman want to put on an MGT uniform? You know, are they getting ready for Halloween or something? Why would they want to do this? Minister Farrakhan, and I saw a video of Minister Farrakhan, and he was asked, can white people join the Nation of Islam? And basically he said, certainly. Maybe there's a little bit, a certain criteria for them to join, but he was saying, yeah, I guess they could join the nation. Now, when I was in the Nation of Islam, Louis Farrakhan didn't speak like that. And believe me, the brothers and sisters, when I was in the Nation of Islam, they would not tolerate nothing like that. And I can guarantee you, most of the brothers and sisters from the 1980s and early 1990s, I can guarantee you most of them are gone. Because a lot of them knew the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. And they were disappointed. In fact, we were betrayed by Minister Farrakhan because he said he was going to bring the original teachings back and changes. But of course, as you can see, and those of us who really know the teachings, we know that Louis Farrakhan, oh, I said his name, my bad. Oh, anyway, y'all know who I was talking about anyway. He has changed the teachings. He has changed the teachings. Those of you who are new, you don't really know the teachings. You're going by what Brother Lewis is saying. And you don't really know the teachings. You really don't know how things go. For example, a lot of people, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to give my brother a chance to make his commentary.
Yes, sir.
And ask some questions. For instance, there are people who got angry at me because I felt as though Minister Farrakhan did not respect Brother Ben X like he should. But he gave more attention to that Ariana Grande chick. And I did not like that. See, that's because they don't know the teachings. They don't know Nation of Islam protocol. And I will tell you, see, because I've done this with Minister Farrakhan myself in person. This is what a fruit of Islam is supposed to do. When you come to the temple, when you come to the mosque, the first thing, this is how I was trained, okay? Even under Minister Farrakhan, this is how I was trained as an FOI. When I come to the mosque or the temple, the first thing I do is go to the flag and I salute my flag. That's what the FOI is supposed to do. Then, upon you interacting with a high-ranking official, the first thing you do is salute that official. You wait for that official to to acknowledge you. You reach out your hand for a handshake, and you hug your brother, and you greet each other, assalamu alaikum. Now, when Minister Farrakhan or Brother Ben met Minister Farrakhan, now you're doing this in a standing position. You're not sitting down. Minister Farrakhan made no attempt to stand up and greet Brother Ben. Brother Ben did not salute Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan did not salute Brother Ben. Minister Farrakhan did not stand up for Brother Ben. Brother Ben had to lean down to get a hug, and Minister Farrakhan did say, "I love your work, brother," something to that effect, and that was it. However, he was at Aretha Franklin's funeral for 9 hours. 9 hours. He had a lot of energy to stand up for her and hug her and talk about it was an honor to meet her. And this woman, she looking up in the sky like, damn, I'll be glad when this is over. And I can guarantee you, she'll never have nothing else to do with that man. But here's a brother who clearly loves Farrakhan, and Farrakhan didn't have, he didn't find the energy to stand up and greet this young brother in proper FOI protocol. And that's why I didn't like that whole scene. I don't like that. But he's going to stand up for Father Flager and Eminem and all these other white folks. They're supposed to be devils, mind you. They're supposed to be devils. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches they are devils until they study Islam from 20 to 25 years. So there's a lot of hypocrisy here. And when I had my debate with that Muslim brother, we didn't have an opportunity to go off into Nation of Islam teachings and whatever, because he believes that he knows. And I mean, he's trained and he does know. But I've been around a long time. I was introduced to the teachings of Elijah when I was, what, 7, 8 years old. And then I joined the Nation of Islam when a lot of brothers still had the real knowledge of what the Nation of Islam was about. And they carried out the original protocol. What you see right now it's not happening. Minister Farrakhan, the things that Minister Farrakhan is doing right now, those brothers and sisters would not tolerate, they would quit. They would not support it. But see, the thing about Minister Farrakhan, he made these changes real slow. It's not like he just outright done it. He did them real slow, and he's a very smart man. He knows how to justify his actions, and many of us fall in love with personality instead of really learning what the teachings are. So many of these people, they love Minister Farrakhan, but they don't know the teachings. They don't know. They really don't know how the nation's supposed to be ran. They really don't know. They really don't know what's being taught. They are dependent upon, Louis Farrakhan DVDs. When they should be studying, they have, Brother Ben was talking about all these different study papers that don't have nothing to do with the original Nation of Islam. It's a made-up stuff. The Farrakhan made up, after the fact. That sounds, all intelligent and supreme wisdom and whatever, but it's not. It's the teaching. You're not supposed to change. You're not supposed to change the teaching. And me personally, quite honestly, I don't care, because I don't have to defend that stuff no more. I wouldn't want to be an FOI right now, because Mr. Farrakhan has the Nation of Islam looking like, really confused, hypocritical. It's really a messed up situation. You talk about defending Farrakhan, it's really futile, because it's so many things that's going wrong. And they may not believe it or not. That's why more and more people are quitting the Nation of Islam, and the numbers are dwindling. And that's the reality of it, because it's confusing. You say you don't believe in race mixing, but your God is a product of race mixing, and your minister is hugging his white daughter-in-law. Y'all got a lot of explaining to do, and that's all the explaining that I'm going to say.
Yes, sir.
So with that said,
okay.
I'm already 5,000.
Yes,
sir.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay. First of all, let me send a shout out, to the viewers that we have today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My brother Bakari, Syrian Jude, and my sister Ingrid Thomas. Okay. First off, let me begin with this. I have a statement to make and then a question to ask. Okay. Let me first begin with the statement. Okay. All right. We already know, and I'm sure that everybody that's listening to this knows that what happened during the breeding process, like on the breeding farms, when it came to chattel slavery. This is why we have so many different, distinct skin variations. But I just want my people to understand, and if you disagree with me, you could post in the comment section, that when we look at, some of the admixture that Black people here today in 2018 may carry, best and believe, and this is my own personal opinion on this.
Yes, sir.
You best believe that all of this was not produced in a slave farm. Some of these Black people did this willingly.
Yeah.
Because they had this secret fetish, whether it came from, self-hatred or whatever the case may be. We have, Black men, and we're not going to get all off into the, are we, from Africa or indigenous debate today. But regardless of where we come from, when I say Black men, I mean pure Black men, because I was speaking to my good brother Taalik about this earlier on the phone, and we were talking about, I think, you know, we need to entirely throw that whole term black out. Like when it comes to identify like all of us that are, you know, victims of white supremacy or descendants of slaves born in America. Because I was speaking to my brother Taalik earlier, and he made this analogy. When you go into a paint shop and you ask, you know, for black paint, they're not going to hand you tan paint, peach paint, yellow paint, gold paint, because you know, us as descendants of slaves born in America, we come in so many different skin complexions. Like we got butter pecan, caramel, yellow bone, red bone, light brown, tan brown, dark brown. You know, we got all of these different variations of skin complexion. So I'm not trying to separate us. I'm just saying, like, if we look at what, you know, the color black really is, black is a color that is, you know, different from the rest. So we are not all black people. You know, like my brother Taalik always say, we are a creation. We are a creation created, you know, in the laboratory of, you know, racism and white supremacy, you know, due to breeding farms, of the plantations, through rape and all these other things. But to get back to what I was trying to say, that we have to really understand that not all of our admixture comes from rape or even slavery. You know, some of our people, man, they willingly, maybe, you know, they had an inferior mindset. They had an inferior mindset to, you know, just like today in 2018, we have an inferior mindset to look up and say that, you know, whiteness exemplifies, you know, beauty here in America. Because if we look at, it seems as if I'm getting a car, but yeah. Okay, just a second. Okay. What's going on? Yeah. Okay, excuse me. Excuse me, my brothers and sisters, man. We having technical difficulties. I'm gonna have to get my brother Taalik back into this car real quick. We're experiencing technical difficulties, so let me try to call my good brother Taalik Ibn'rad back up, because the call dropped, unfortunately, because I was receiving another call. So this is why, man, this donation money, man, is really needed right now, because, you know, I need to pay for this private separate number that I can have each month, so I don't have to worry about, you know, getting calls that disconnect, you know, my entire radio show, because I'm using my personal cell phone as of right now. So when I get an outside call, regardless of the fact that, you know, I might be doing a radio show, for some reason it'll just drop the entire you know, my entire call in. So this is why, brothers and sisters, man, if you could please help out. You know, I'm trying to this number that I'm going to be getting for this private, you know, phone call would be approximately $6.99 a month. You know, so trust and believe. I just want my people out here to know that, you know, every donation dollar will be, you know, put into exactly, you know, what it's about. I'm not like a Sonetta TV. I'm not a brother polite. I'm not one that, you know, is trying to take money from the people and put it into my own pockets. No, sir, and no, ma'am. But okay, let me get back to what I was saying. Okay, before I got disconnected and I started experiencing technical difficulties, okay, the point and the statement that I was trying to make is the fact that, yes, indeed, We all know. And if you disagree, you are allowed to disagree. You could just post it up in the in the comment section after this video uploads. But if you disagree with this statement that I'm about to make, then please let me know. Get into the comment section and say, hey, brother, I disagree. Brother, you don't know what in the heck you're talking about.
Right.
Brother, you are in error. And okay, yes, indeed. But I will say this before I get into the statement, because I got disconnected during the question. But okay. Oh, yes, Sister Ingrid Thomas. Yes, we need the Skype number. It's like $6.99 a month. And it's a personal number that we can have for call-ins. $6.99 a month. That way I don't have to worry about, getting outside calls, interfering with the radio, broadcasts and stuff like that. Just like my good brother Taalik just got disconnected. So sister, if you could, contribute something, I would really appreciate that. Yes, indeed. We're just trying to, get this platform going. But like I say, and I keep getting, sidetracked. I can't even get into the statement yet because I can't even get into the question yet, asking the question to Brother Taalik, because I haven't been able to continue with the statement. But yes, during the, breeding farms, during chattel slavery, yes. And, as far as like even slave rape, once I get things together, you will see, like, I'm going to be getting on cam. Like every single broadcast, you will see I'm not the darkest of the darkest brothers. I'm a very light-skinned brother. But that doesn't take away from my people. I have 2 black parents, of course. But the thing is, we got, like I was saying earlier, man, we come in all different type of shades and tones and, all from the golden brown to the golden yellow, to the peach yellow. And all these different type of skin tones. But what I'm saying is some of our ancestors, and this is the story that I was told, and that leads me to the question for Taalik. Some of our ancestors, they willingly, some of our elder brothers out here, they willingly, lay down with these European women. So my question to Brother Taalik, when we talk about eldership, when we talk about our elders, like our 2 and 3 times great grandfathers, I mean, even though, they faced so much discrimination during their time, like why did our pure black or pure African, whatever you want to call them, our black, the blackest of the black of our own people, what was their fascination over that that pink and that red booty? What's the black man's? I'm talking about the real black man, the dark black, the real black man who is the color black. What's his fascination over this pink and this red behind?
That mentality, that mentality, it continues to this day. You have people of whom you may consider pure Africans, they still act and do the same thing. Because this is the reality of it. We're I guess you could say we're all human beings, and men are attracted to women, women are attracted to men. You can put now, like for me, now see, it's impossible for me because of how I came up. I was introduced to the teachings of Elijah Muhammad when I was 7 or 8 years old. And I just have that loyalty to my own. I just have that. But everybody's not like that. They just view everybody as human beings and blah, blah. So if you, like, for instance, if you are in Africa and you were introduced to one of them Caucasian aid workers or something like that, and you interact with her every day, there's a good chance that y'all could, they could end up, having a relationship with one another. Because, you're getting to know one another, outside of your skin color, like I said, women are attracted to men. Well, I said women are attracted to women. That also happens nowadays too. But, it's just a natural thing. And a lot of people aren't connected to their culture like that. I'm connected to my people. I'm connected. I have a strong sense and a loyalty to my own. I don't, back in the day, They used to say, if she can't use my comb, don't bring her home. You know, that's the type of mentality that I have. You know, she got to look like my mama. You know, my auntie. She got to look like, you know, where I come from. And she could be nice. I met a lot of Caucasian women. You know, very nice. In fact, I could be married to a couple of rich white women if I wanted to. You know, they wanted to take care of me, told me I didn't have to work and all that kind of good stuff. But I just don't roll that way. I don't roll that way. But you got those who don't think like me. And they can be pure African and they would be married to these Caucasian people right now. They just don't have it. You know, they don't trip off them as a people as far as their history is concerned, exploiting and plundering dark-skinned people all over the planet. They skip over those things. So, you know, and then also you got to take consideration, even a lot of those people over there, supposed to be pure Africans, remember they was colonized also. And it's like your dog. You know, an animal, it's not natural for an animal to put itself in a position to be a pet. But if that's all that you know, then you got this dog that wants to, you know, be with you all the time and whatever. Your dog, you know, your animal, your pet actually fall in love with you. They want to be with you and blah, blah, blah. And that's how it is with us. You know, these people are, you know, we've been under their control. And, you know, we fall in love with them. I just made a video not too long ago about the mindset of brothers who talk about they pro-black, but they still have a lust for that white woman. There's a reason for that. I mean, we were raised around these people. I mean, all over the earth, they messing with us. We see them all the time. And you can easily forget that this is the enemy because they smiling in your face 24 hours a day. So some of us fall for that. I don't fall for that. I'm not interested. You know, I'm a loyalist to my own, but many of us aren't like that. So, you know, that's the best thing that I can come up with. I can only give you my opinion. We would have to actually speak to somebody, you know, who's involved in a situation like that and ask them, you know, here you are pure African. Why you want that white woman? You know, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure there might be somebody who listening to this radio broadcast. If you are a pure African or a pure black man, whatever you are, you know, I would like to know why you so fascinated with how come you don't like the sister? You know, just, you know, come on this radio show. We can set it up and we want to talk to you. Yeah, I want to find out, you know, what they say, take it straight to the horse's mouth. I don't have to guess. Let's see what they have to say about that. Maybe we can recruit some guys from O'Shea Duke Jackson channel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I got another question. Okay, my good brother. That's understandable.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, 1000%.
Yeah.
But okay, to that child, like I said, we come in so many, you know, variations of skin tone.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you are a black man. But what about to these men, to these people, to my sisters and my brothers, you know, who may not be like we was using, you know, like I used the paint shop analogy earlier. That may not be, when they look in the mirror, they don't see a black person. It's not that they don't identify with the Negro. It's not saying that they don't look at themselves as a Negro. I'm talking about when we look at black, first of all, I guess we would have to define black. You know, black is a color. We know what the color black looks like.
Right.
How can we compare that to peach, butter, pecan, and, you know, all of these different, you know, skin variations that we as black people, you know, born to the descendants of slaves and, you know, that we possess. The question when I'm saying, yes, I can understand that, you know, you have that pride in you, you know, as a black man. And we don't see really any type of admixture in you. Like when we look at your photos and your pictures, but unfortunately, you know, due to, you know, the breeding process is just as well as, you know, all of these unnatural events that occurred. And we see black people with all of these different skin variations, man.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I mean, okay, what are your thoughts when it comes to like self-hatred? Like some of us, man, we just hate ourselves because we go under this term of black And if you don't see yourself as being black,
Yeah.
that's why I say we need to redefine ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the yellow, what about the yellow man, the yellow bone man, or the red bone man, or the peach man?
Yeah.
You know, and all these other different skin tones. They have this self-hatred. They have the self-hatred built up. They don't know what they are. You know, that's just like the mulatto child that comes from, a very confusing background. Comes out of the womb of a white woman, but has a black father when, these two races historically have been at war.
Right.
And have been clashing amongst each other. So when that child grows up, sometimes they don't know. They have, dual allegiance. And like I was telling you the other day, my good brother, you can't serve two masters. When there are two races of people that have historically been at war with each other, how can you be neutral? How can you be neutral? So what I'm saying is, with all of this admixture and with us being a totally new breed of people, a totally new breed of Negro, what are your thoughts, man? Because everybody, man, doesn't have that pride. Some of not every what will be classified today as a black person has kinky hair. Some of us have very curly hair. Some of us have straight hair. Some of us have broad noses. Some of us have very thin lips. And, thin noses. So with all of this taking place and knowing all of this, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts first? Okay, what are your thoughts concerning all of the different varieties when it comes to black people?
Well, again, it goes back to our creation, and that's something that we don't want to accept. But I was just thinking about the process, and I come from the same place many you guys come from. I was taught. We was brought on, slave ships and, all that kind of stuff. Though I come from the same place. And I don't know why people get so angry at me when I bring certain things up. But remember, I come from the same place that you do, But the thing about it, the difference between you and I is I began to really think about what happened. What happened to us? You cannot, you cannot come to the correct solution of a math problem unless you have all the numbers involved. If the end number is supposed to be 19, but there's a number that's missing so that 19 does not show up, you cannot say that that's correct. You understand? So I understand that y'all love Dr. Ben. I understand that you love John Henry Clark and all these other historians and scholars. But there are some things that they did not take in consideration. So thus they cannot come to the correct conclusion. You cannot ignore that there were dark-skinned people already here. You cannot ignore that the racists called the people that was already here, they called them Indians, they called them Negro, they also classified them as Africans, the people that was already here. You cannot ignore that fact. So when you talk about Aboriginal people, you're talking about somebody that was also called an African. So when you speak about Africa, you could be speaking about people that actually come from the continent or people who was already here. You cannot take that factor out because it exists. It's a fact. Now, these people who were already here, they were divided into at least 700 different tribes. The tribes that we know of, many of us can barely know 5. There were 700 different types of Aboriginal people that was here. And they did not They did not intermix with one another. They were separated. What brought them together was when the Caucasian people invaded and made slaves out of many of them. And the slaves and those who were turned into slaves, many of them was called Negro or African. You cannot, you cannot take that out of the equation. These people, many of them, would not even interact with one another. So you're dealing with people, because of slavery, they were forced to mix with tribes and people they normally would not mix with. Plus, I never said that the transatlantic slave trade never happened. I'm telling you, it did not happen on the magnitude that has been taught to us. But we do have people that come from the islands. We got people that come from Africa. They brought them here also. And the native people, all of them was made to mix with one another. In natural circumstance, they never would have done that. Chattel slavery brought all these people together. Then, to put the frosting on the cake, we was raped by the Europeans.
Brother, I want you to hear, okay, I'm looking in the chat room, and Brother Bakari is listening to this show, to this broadcast, and
yeah,
he has a statement to make. And hopefully, fortunately, just for the listening audience, you will be able to address this. Now, Brother Bacardi made the statement. He says, y'all love to claim your slave master. That I guess we love to claim our slave master. Could you respond?
Has nothing to do with claiming anybody. Telling you what the process was, what happened. These people were in various tribes. They did not intermix with one another. And then you had people that did come from Africa and the island that had nothing to do with one another. They were brought together by force. And then the Caucasian people raped these folks. Have nothing to do with claiming nobody. That's what happened. That's what happened. Now, of course, just like you mentioned, as time went on, and some of these people had, some of them were considered free people or whatever. Yeah, they had their rendezvous with Caucasian people, fell in love with them, and you could say they voluntarily. But see, this is the thing about it. How can a person under oppression voluntarily do anything? Even right now, this is a forced relationship. All interracial relationships that we have is unnatural because it was slavery that caused this union to happen. If it was not for slavery, we would not be intermixing with Caucasian people right now because it wasn't happening. There was no Africans, there was no Native American people here looking for Caucasian people to sleep with. That's a fact. All this happened because of slavery, because of exploitation. Has nothing to do with claiming the white side. I'm telling you what happened. I don't know who these people are. I have no idea. And I'm just like Brother Bakari. Even if I knew, I wouldn't claim them because they rapists. Why would I claim a rapist? But I cannot change. I'm not going to sit around here and pretend like this did not happen because that's what happened. I'm telling you what happened. And they tell us in the history book, this is what happened. So after generations go by, and you got all this different mixing going on, and if anybody who's been raised on a farm, they will bear witness. What happens is when you have, like say for instance, if you start off with red chickens on the farm, but for some reason you can't afford to get more red chickens, you buy yellow chickens, then the yellow chickens will interbreed with the red chickens. And after a period of time, you don't have no red chickens or no yellow chickens. You got this hybrid mix of chickens. And don't bring in some other chickens, then you got this mess around, and that's how a lot of new breeds of animals are produced because of this situation. And we were considered animals, and we was treated like animals, and this is what happened. And then just like horses and cows, they force to mix with daughters,
daughters mixed with their fathers. You know, all that kind of stuff happens on with animals. And that's what they've done with us. They sold, remember, we biologically, you don't even know who your real relatives are because they sold our people to plantations all over the country. And during the breeding farms, you had fathers that was made to get babies by their daughters. You had sons that was made to get babies by their mothers. All this kind of stuff was going on, and y'all going to just negate that. How all this stuff is going on, how are you going to connect to anybody? Whether they are real Aboriginal or whether they're African, how are you going to connect? You can't.
Okay, let me tell you another statement. Let me tell you another statement that Syrian Jude made. Yeah. Syrian Jude just said, you're not a native Indian. If you did a DNA test, you would not show up as Aboriginal.
Yeah.
What would be your response to that?
First of all, there's no DNA cannot tell you about Native American. Native American, that's a continent. America is a continent. Africa is a continent. You cannot get DNA from a continent. It has to come from a specific people, a specific human being. You cannot get DNA cannot tell you what soil you was born in. If that's the case, I should have Mississippi DNA, Detroit DNA, Chicago DNA, and all that kind of stuff. DNA cannot tell you a geographical location because the same species of people or animal that's in one geographical location could also be found in another geographical location. It can only tell you your relationship with a certain species of animal or people. It cannot tell you about a geographical location because if there's such thing as United States DNA, then what kind of DNA was it before the Europeans took over this continent? See, it don't make any sense. That DNA stuff is legitimate, but it can only go so far. It cannot tell you these things. It cannot tell you whether if you're from Chicago or Detroit. It cannot tell you if you're a Zulu or Sudanese. It cannot. DNA cannot tell you. It can tell you, connect you only to a certain people or a species of animal. That's all it can do. That's all it can do. It don't even make any sense. There is no, far as I know, there is no geneticist, there's no biologist that endorse these DNA tests. You can only take DNA so far because when you start looking into DNA, it's endless, and they don't have the technology to track all that stuff down. They don't have the technology. But in order to make a dollar off of you, they'll tell you what you want to hear. If you get a DNA test from company A, company B and C should say the same thing. But as you know, Brother Craig, we even spoke about this before. It was a sister. She took a test from the same company 3 times with 3 different results. There was a person who took the DNA test with 3 different companies with 3 different results. And I believe you was talking about a lady. She sent in dog DNA